How's it going, everyone? Good to see you again. I need an F in the chat from you because I've got the COVID. I'm dying. It's happened after 2.5 years or whatever of dodging it. I caught it. Anyway, this video is a good one, long time coming. A good friend of mine managed to pick up a great deal on an R34 and he decided he wanted to go all out on it, so he bought an RB26 for it. This is the build process. So if you are thinking of doing a build yourself where you put an RB26 into a car, then this will tell you what you need, what you do's and you don'ts. And if you've got any questions, just drop them down below and I'll answer them. Simple as that. We also get some new lighting for the shop, which is great because it's much needed with the early nights of the minute. But it is getting a bit lighter, so woo, sun's coming. So if you're into this sounds, make sure you watch right to the end. This is part one. Part two, we're getting the engine in the car, but this is getting everything prepped, ready to go. And we're on that road to 1,000 subs, so please do hit subscribe if you enjoy any old Nissan, Datsun, 180SX, all that sort of content, we have it. It's time to sort out the lighting situation in the shop. I've had a few messages saying, Rob, it's really dark in there. So we wanted to fix that for you guys. First thing we've done is Ollie put in a nice LED light right over the work area on the ramp. That really brightens up over there. And I've just picked up some LED strip lights, just your basic sort of Amazon-y style ones. What we're going to do is we're going to replace these here and put some underneath the mezzanine here, and that really should light it up. So this is the before. Now, bear in mind it's daylight at the minute and you get all the light that comes in from here. But if you see underneath these canopies, it still is fairly dark. It's not quite bright enough to really see sort of detail when you're looking down there. Also got another S13 in for some work at the moment. So let's take it from this. Let's check out that difference. Is, like I said before, night and day. I can't believe how much of a difference it made. That was £100 worth of lights and some 20 quid's worth of wiring, and it is brightened up this whole area. In fact, it makes the rest of the place, other than that LED bit there, look a bit dim. So I might do something about that, but for the minute I'm real happy with this whole sort of lower section being well lit, especially as the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice there's an engine right there that I'm going to start working on. As I've got the RBS 13 out of the way, that's going to be going on the ramp to hopefully get ready to run. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about this engine, which probably the thumbnail spoils. This is, that's not the best shot. This is an RB26 DETT. This is the GTR, Godzilla, if you will, engine out of an R32, and we're going to be prepping this to go into, well, any rear-wheel drive setup really, but specifically for us, an R34. This is literally just landed with me, and this is for Tommy's build of his R34. And I'm doing all the prep on it. You may ask, what prep does it need? Well, there's quite a bit. We're going to go through in detail, but to start off with, it needs a full refresh. So we're going to go for new seals, new belts, new war pump, all that sort of stuff. They're all supplied by our good friends at JDM Garage, who managed to get these to me. Well, I ordered them at 4 PM in the evening, and they arrived at my doorstep at 11 AM the next day. So super quick postage from those guys. Check the link below if you want to order anything from them. It's not sponsored, I just like them. And then we'll be sorting out what we need to do with the clutch, because this is a pull type clutch, and the R34 gearbox that we're going to be using is, or the RB25 gearbox, should I say, that we're using is a push type clutch. The downpipes, we've got some downpipes there that we might use to help match it up with the R34 stock exhaust, or aftermarket exhaust. Power steering pump, this is set up for Hikers, which we don't need, so we're probably going to end up having to change that. Plus a whole load of wiring, engine mounts, all sorts of stuff. So stay tuned, and we're going to get this up on an engine stand and start and have a play with it. I'm not sure this engine stand is manly enough for this engine. It's sitting slack there, but it's quite a slant it's sitting at. So first thing to do is to shed some weight. I'm going to take off the aircon system because we're not going to be using that on where this is going in. I'm going to take off the power steering pump because it's a twin pump with Hicus, which we don't need. A bracket for the aircon as well. And then we can take the sump off as well, because this is a four-wheel drive sump. So the plan for this engine, if I haven't already said, is it's going in an R34 GTT Skyline. So the two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive in fact, Skyline. So we're going to be converting this RB26 to go rear-wheel drive. This is basically the same as if you're going to put it in any Skyline. Although this is going in R34, same principles could be applied if you're putting it in any Skyline. So this will be staying twin turbo setup as well. I believe these are aftermarket or sort of internally different turbos. I mean, there are different oil lines and there are what look to be aftermarket downpipes on as well. So possible, but without pulling it apart, we don't know. Also, we don't know the full history of this engine, so we could find anything in there. Japan. Right, so stripping the front of this, I've loosened off the alternator, taken the belt off. Going to undo these each side. These pipes here. We need a 27mm for. Oh no, we don't. We need a large bolt. It's like a 30 something. For the bottom here, we need some 10mm here, some 10mm here, and some in-hexes for the covering. And we should be able to pull this whole lot off. 30mm for the bottom crank pulley, and the torque ratings on this are extremely tight. If I remember correctly, it's 400 something Newton meters it's done up to. So we'll definitely need setting 3 on the gun. Let's see what it does. There's a lot of background noise in the workshop, so I decided to do a dub over for this one, but this is just me showing you where all the marking lines are for your timing, and you want to set those up before you start taking the belt off. And then I'm just loosening off the tensioner here, and basically use like an in-hex to move the tensioner about. Only reason for all the background noise is I share the workshop, you know. It makes the rent cheaper, so that's a good plus side, and it's very rare that we're up there at the same time. Just moving the tension to one side, pull the cam belt off. I think I get a screwdriver and just pry it a little bit. Bing! There it goes, and then it gets stuck on the socket. So it's like 5 minutes of trying to pull that off. so we've got the oil pan off, and we've got a Tomei baffle plate in there, which is pretty cool. And then I actually whacked this cover off. You can see it's loose there. I've taken that off. And there is H-beam rods and uprated pistons in there as well. There is a brand written on the side of it, but I can't make out what it is because it's so close to the cylinder wall. But good news is, it is built. Looks like we've had a leak somewhere at the front here, probably from this drain hose, I think. So I'll take that off and have a look and see what that condition is. And if so, we'll replace that. See, there's a bit of a kink there. All right, so the front is stripped down, and I've taken some of the sealant off of here. I'm just going to clean it up a bit more and dry everything up, and then we're ready to put the new water pump back on. Speaking of which, we've got all these goodies here from JDM Garage. So all OE parts that they've supplied us. So it's time to start putting it back together, and then we can look at modifying the Sump. Just installing the threads that come with the Nissan water pump, and I have a nice simple rule with that, which is if it spins, use Loctite. So I'm just putting some Loctite on the ends of these threads and winding them in, because this all spins to spin the impellers in the water pump. Yeah. Whoops. Okay, so what we're doing while this is out is the cam seals. So I've already replaced this one, and this one I've taken out. This is one of the old ones here. Literally just pry it out from where it is. And replacing those, ignore that it says oil crank seal on there. I believe they use the same gasket, or it's a similar one. But I'm going to replace that one in here. It's nice and simple to do. Get your new gasket out. Make sure you've got the bit with the indent and whatnot facing inwards, so the writing is facing outwards. Place that in, and then we're just going to tap that in. So I haven't got a socket big enough, but even using this socket, I will just tap it around the edge. And they sit basically flush. Nice and simple to do. That and the bottom cam seal and the rear main seal, all well, that and the bottom cam seal all pretty much the same. Rear main seal I'll show you in a little bit when we've got it off the engine stand. But well worth doing while all this is out. Nissan. Oh, the JDM-ness of it, look. Ooh. So idler tensioner is on, backing plate is back on. I've taken off the pipes that run behind it because they are for the charcoal canister, which we're not going to be using. And it's time to line up our cam belt into place. So same as when we took it off, we'll put our timing marks back to where they should be, because they've moved when we've tightened this up. And this one over here, back to here. We'll put this one here back to here. And then we can get our belts in place. We've got 3 timing marks on here, all clearly denoted by the white lines. And what I'll do is make sure that this side of it is nice and tight, and then we can put our tensioner in, and it will automatically tension up on the spring of this one. Okay, and there we have it, our cam belt on and all tensioned up with the new pulleys.
Obviously just need to put a bolt on this one to secure it in place. So lined up back with its lining marks, so the dotted one goes on this side here, and best way to look at it, the writing that's up here should be nice and central, but dotted one on that line, next one on that line, next one down on the crank. Okay, so with the maintenance stuff all tidied up and done, she found the records on this engine and it was rebuilt in 2011, so it's 10 years. 11 years now since it was done. So, you know, just doing all those bits while it's out, it's just going to help it last another 11 years before it needs any more maintenance. Because we're all buttoned up on that now, it's time to start working on the sump. So what we're going to be doing is removing all of the diff casing and everything off of here, and removing that part off there, removing this tube out the middle here, and welding up each side to keep it all ported. The reason we're doing this is because if we went for an RB25 sump, we've then got to modify, got to change the pickup and move it, or modify the baffles in the sump to allow this pickup, but it doesn't work as well. Plus the RB26 has got a larger capacity oil pan. Yeah, I just think it seems like the best route to go. So I'm going to start taking this apart, and then we can get it cleaned up and chopped down, and then we'll take it this evening to get welded. I'm going to pop the Tomei baffle out just because this is going to have some fab work done on it, and we don't want to get any iron filings and stuff all in there. Obviously this needs a full wash out before it goes back on the car anyway. Right, our diff casing is all hollowed out and emptied and cleaned. Still got a bit of oil in there, but that's fine. It's not going to catch fire or anything. Definitely make sure you use your PPE on this, because when you cut aluminium, it's pretty nasty.
Many minutes later.
So while we're waiting for the sump to get welded up, I'm going to put the engine down on the ground. We're going to do that rear main seal, and then we can start putting the new flywheel and clutch on. So at the back of the engine here, this is your rear main seal, this one around here. A lot of cars you can just pry this out and push the new one in, but on the RB you want to undo the bolts here and take the carrier out. There are some bolts that come up through the sump, but obviously the sump's off, so we've already got that. So we just need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these ones here. Take this panel off, take this seal out, and then we can put our new Nissan seal, that's the part number there, back in its place. So we're going to quick blast off in the vapor blaster over there and put the fresh seal in. So I just need to clean it up, put some new sealant on, and then it's ready to go back in place. So with that all in place, we can move on to the clutch and flywheel setup, of which Gus has gone for a competition clutch. And this is the Stage 2 Steelback Brass Plus. Let's have a look. Stickers, of course. That's where all the horsepower comes from. So we've got the pressure plate here. It's a good looking bit of kit. Release bearing, and oh, there's a spigot. I didn't realise it came with a spigot, so we'll be changing that out as well. The clutch itself, and we've got an upgraded flywheel and all the hardware that comes with it as well. So first thing to do, swap out this spigot ring for a new one, and then we can get this clutch flywheel all mounted and torqued up. Now we have our clutch assembly on, with our tool in place to keep it all central. So So next thing to do, we need to get the box out, which is over here. So out the pivot stuff, grease up the shafts and bits, and then we can make the two together. So we've got bell housing, we've got our clutch on, and so it's time to build the bits in here. Nice and simple. We have a fork, we have a bearing, and we have a pin that goes through the middle, and that's what the fork pivots on. So I've cleaned all this up. I'm going to put a little bit of grease, not too much, because obviously you don't want anything spinning off onto the clutch, otherwise it will ruin it. So just a small amount of grease on the shaft that it slides on, a small amount around the pivot, assemble that, and then this sits in there that way with the bit poking out. And what you do is basically when you put the box together, first time you engage the clutch, it locks into this lock-in pin here, and that's it. It's then locked in and will pull as it needs to. So it's a case of sort of just trusting everything you've done here, trusting everything you've done there, putting it all together, putting it in the car, and then just before you drive away, you'll figure out if it works or not. So the sump's all cleaned up, and the turbo baffle and the turbo baffle is back in. I've put sealant all the way around the edge, and I'm just going to give that 10 minutes to dry a little bit. One of the biggest mistakes people make with sealant is they just whack it on and then put the two bits together. But then what happens is all the wet sealant just seeps out, and you've got metal to metal surface. So sump is back on. That's all sealed. We're all looking good there. Also trying to sort out subframe at the minute. Annoyingly, obviously the R32 mounts won't work because they're GTR mounts, meant for the 4-point mount subframe. So we need to sort out some different mounts. We don't have the GTT mounts, which would be ideal to put on here because obviously they're mounted with that. I tried some non-turbo RB25 mounts, but they're no good because they come at a different angle. So we'd need either a non-turbo frame, which might hit on the turbos. So basically we can use an R34 GTT crossmember and R33 or R34 engine mount brackets on there. So we just need to find some of those brackets, and then we can put it on and get it in the car.
That's all for now though, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for watching, everybody, especially all the way till the end. If you could do me a massive favor and just watch one of these two vids next, then that helps whatever the YouTube algorithm is. And obviously, remember, if you like what you see, do a subscribe.